June 5th, 1944. Dwight Eisenhower drives out to visit the paratroopers. 101st Airborne, faces painted black, equipment strapped on, ready to board the planes that will drop them behind enemy lines in the dark. He walks among them, shakes hands, asks their names, looks them in the eye. Some of them recognize him, some of them don't. None of them know what he knows. That some of the planners who built this operation feared the airborne casualties could be catastrophic. Not manageable losses. Catastrophic. Eisenhower shakes their hands anyway. He watches them board. He watches the planes disappear into the dark. And then a photographer catches him standing alone on the tarmac, hands in his pockets, watching the sky where the planes used to be. He looks like a man doing math he doesn't want to finish. He goes back to his quarters, and he writes a note. To understand what that note means, you have to understand what D-Day actually was. Not what we remember it as, what it actually was on paper. The largest seaborne invasion in human history. 150,000 men, 5,000 ships, 11,000 aircraft, years of planning. The entire weight of the Allied war effort pointed at one coastline on one morning. And it was a gamble, not a calculated certainty, a gamble. The weather alone almost killed it. The original invasion date was June 5th. Eisenhower's chief meteorologist, a man named James Stagg, told him the weather was wrong. Too much wind, too much cloud. The ships couldn't land, the aircraft couldn't see. Eisenhower postponed. One day, Stagg came back and said there was a window. Narrow. Maybe 36 hours of acceptable weather before the next storm system moved in. Maybe. Eisenhower had to decide. Right then. Based on a maybe. Because the alternative was waiting weeks for the next viable tidal window. And every day they waited, the risk of the Germans discovering the plan grew. He said go, on a maybe. And on the German side of that coastline, the officer in charge of the beach defenses, Field Marshal Rommel, wasn't even there. He had gone home to Germany for his wife's birthday, because nobody believed the Allies would launch in weather like this. June 6th, 1944. Everything starts going wrong before the sun comes up. The paratroopers Eisenhower had watched board their planes, the men he had shaken hands with the night before, are scattered across the French countryside, miles from their drop zones. Winds push them off course in the dark. Some land in flooded fields and drown before they can fight. Some land alone, miles from anyone, with no idea where they are. The coordination the plan depended on evaporates before dawn. And then the beach landings begin. Utah Beach holds. The casualties are lighter than anyone expected. But Omaha is different. The bombers that were supposed to soften the German defenses dropped their payloads too far inland. Worried about hitting their own men in the fog, they missed the beach entirely. The amphibious tanks that were supposed to provide cover are launched too far out. Most of them sink before they reach shore. The men who make it to the ramps drop into water over their heads. They are being fired on before they can stand up. The German positions above the beach are largely intact. The men below them have nowhere to go. Within the first hour on Omaha, the casualties are catastrophic. Officers on the beach send back a message. Situation critical. Heavy casualties. Troops pinned down. And at least one senior commander looks at what's happening on Omaha and seriously considers the unthinkable. Pull back. Abandon the beach. Write it off. For a window of time, maybe 90 minutes, maybe longer, that decision is genuinely on the table. Back at headquarters, Eisenhower is getting reports. Fragmented, incomplete, contradictory. He does not know yet whether the invasion is working. He does not know whether the men on Omaha are going to hold or break. He does not know whether the decision he made, the go decision, the one based on a maybe, was the right one. What he knows is that he sent 150,000 men into something that might be failing right now, and there is nothing left for him to do. The decision has been made. The men are on the beach. All he can do is wait. He reaches into his pocket. He already wrote the note. Eisenhower wrote it the night before, after he watched the planes disappear. After he did the math, he didn't want to finish. He wrote it by hand, on a small piece of paper. He folded it up and put it in his pocket, and he carried it with him through the entire day. It begins like this. Our landings in the Cherbourg-Havre area have failed to gain a satisfactory foothold, and I have withdrawn the troops. He had already written the version where it went wrong. My decision to attack at this time and place was based upon the best information available. He had already written his explanation. And then the last line. If any blame or fault attaches to the attempt, it is mine alone. He signed it, put it in his pocket. The invasion did not fail. Omaha held, barely, at enormous cost, because small groups of men found ways up the bluffs and started dismantling the German positions from above. By the end of June 6th, the Allies had a foothold. By the end of the week, they had a beachhead. By August, Paris was liberated. By May of 1945, the war in Europe was over. The note stayed in Eisenhower's pocket all day. That evening, or possibly the next morning, accounts differ slightly, he took it out. He had written the date wrong. June 5th instead of June 6th. A small error, the kind you make when you write something the night before and don't think to correct it. He crumpled it up, almost threw it away. Someone stopped him. That crumpled piece of paper still exists. You can look it up. Here is what we know. The invasion succeeded. The note stayed in his pocket. Millions of people are alive today because D-Day worked. Here is what we can't prove, whether Eisenhower believed it would. And here is what nobody ever really answered. How do you write a letter accepting responsibility for a catastrophe that hasn't happened yet? Then put it in your pocket and send 150,000 men into it anyway. And that's the part that should keep you up at night.